Before you judge me, let me tell you how I got here. On my 64th birthday, I thought I was going out to brunch. I wore my best dress and even curled my hair, but instead of mimosas and laughter, I was handed a suitcase and abandoned at a care facility. That was just the beginning. If you think betrayal only comes from strangers, wait until it wears your daughter's smile. Stick around till the end and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I woke up on my birthday with hope in my chest. 64. Alone in my small townhouse in Charlotte, North Carolina, but hopeful. Melissa hadn't called much lately, said her new marketing agency was demanding, but surely she'd show up today. I made blueberry pancakes with real maple syrup, even set 2 places. By noon, I was still alone. At 2 p.m., the doorbell rang. Melissa stood there with that practiced smile. "Happy birthday, Mom," she said, holding grocery store flowers. "Get your coat. I made reservations." I didn't question it. I grabbed my purse, felt giddy like a teenager. But we didn't drive toward any restaurant. We pulled into a place with a circular driveway lined with perfectly manicured hedges. I looked up at the sign and felt my stomach twist. Magnolia Gardens Senior Living Community. "Melissa, what is this?" "Mum, we need to talk. This isn't sustainable. You living alone, forgetting things?" "What things?" "I don't forget things." She kept talking, words tumbling out. "I found a great place. Safe, comfortable, medical staff on site." I laughed bitterly. "You brought me here on my birthday." She got out of the car. "Let's just go inside." I refused to move. That's when she opened the trunk. My suitcase was already packed. "You went through my things," she sighed. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." But here's what Melissa didn't know, and what would destroy her 3 weeks later. I wasn't as helpless as she thought. Inside Magnolia Gardens, everything moved in slow motion. Smiling faces at reception, the smell of industrial cleaner. She handed over papers. A transfer of power of attorney, my name, her signature. Done. They led me to a room with cream walls, an adjustable bed, and a window facing a brick courtyard. My birthday gift. Hours passed. The flowers wilted. That night, I lay awake replaying every conversation with Melissa over the past year. All those times I'd loaned her money, $30,000 for her business launch, $15,000 when her husband had a setback, $20,000 for their beach house down payment. But that night, something inside me cracked. The next morning, I asked a nurse for my cell phone. She smiled apologetically. "Your daughter had the service disconnected, said it was too confusing for you." That's when I realized I wasn't here to be cared for. I was here to be erased. But I'm not nearly as fragile as I look. I stopped eating for 2 days. The nurses were kind, but kindness feels like pity when you're trapped. They called me sweetheart like I was 10 or 100. No one asked what I did before. My roommate Doris slept most of the day. When she did talk, it was about children who hadn't visited in years. I tried to keep my mind sharp, watched news, did crosswords, reread novels. But something inside me was sinking. Then, on the 4th day, I met Ruby. A nurse had called in sick, and Ruby, young with box braids and kind eyes, filled in. She was checking my vitals when she said quietly, "You don't belong here." I looked at her startled. "Don't get me wrong, a lot of folks need help, but you don't seem lost." We talked. She asked about Melissa. I told her what I could without falling apart. Later that day, she came back with something in her hand. This belonged to Mr. Henley, a resident who passed last week. We found it in his Bible. No one claimed it. A lottery ticket. Folded, yellowed, dated 2 weeks earlier. I chuckled bitterly. "And you want me to try my luck?" She winked. "The universe owes you something." This is where my story takes a turn nobody saw coming. That night, I waited until the hallway was quiet. I slipped down to the common room and used one of the ancient desktop computers. I typed in the numbers with trembling fingers. My hand froze. $18 million. I covered my mouth with both hands, looking around frantically. No one was there. It wasn't joy I felt, it was pure, electric fear. If Melissa found out, if anyone found out. I printed the confirmation, folded it small, and tucked it inside my bra. But winning that money wasn't my salvation. It was my weapon. The next day, I pulled Ruby aside. I need to talk to someone legal. She didn't ask why. She knew a volunteer attorney who came by twice a month, Marcus Chen, young, sharp, discreet. We sat in the break room. I slid him the lottery confirmation and whispered, "Can you help me disappear?" His eyebrows rose. "We'll need to move fast." The next hours were a blur. Paperwork, notarizations, financial transfers, a new phone. Marcus contacted a financial advisor who set up a blind trust. My name was nowhere visible. Melissa would never see a cent. I signed a new will, leaving everything to charity. Ruby hugged me the night I left. "Don't forget us when you're free." I slipped away before dawn, wearing clothes that weren't mine, carrying a duffel with only essentials. They thought I was senile, broken, alone. But I was about to become a ghost with $18 million. The Greyhound bus out of Charlotte was long and cold. I sat near the back, hood up, sunglasses on. Marcus had helped me purchase a modest house under the trust's name in rural Georgia. Off the grid, but livable. When we crossed the South Carolina border, I exhaled for the first time in hours. The house was nothing fancy, peeling paint, crooked mailbox, but it had heat, clean water, and silence. The next few days I lived like a shadow, simple meals, walks to the mailbox, sitting on the porch watching dead leaves. I checked the news obsessively, expecting missing woman wins $18 million. Daughter claims mental instability. But there was nothing. I kept the lottery ticket in a fireproof box under the floorboards. Alongside it, the new will, a burner phone, and a note, just in case. But what I didn't expect was what happened 1 week later. One morning, a knock at the door. I froze. I'd told no one where I was. I peeked through the curtain. Just a delivery man. Groceries. Part of Marcus's arrangement. That afternoon, curiosity got the better of me. I created a fake Facebook profile and searched for Melissa. Her latest post made my blood run cold. "If anyone has seen my mother, Eleanor Hayes, please contact me or the Charlotte police immediately. She has memory issues and we're extremely worried. Please share." Hundreds of comments. Prayers, condolences, people praising Melissa for being such a devoted daughter. I laughed until I cried, but what truly broke me was the photo she'd used from 6 years ago. We looked happy. How easy it is to perform love in pictures. But Melissa had made a critical mistake, and soon she'd realize it. That night I couldn't sleep. I remembered how she'd gaslit me, saying, "You told me that already," when I hadn't. "You're forgetting more and more." I thought I was aging poorly. It wasn't my fault. She wanted me to doubt myself, so when she took control, I wouldn't resist. The next morning, I called Marcus. "Update my will again. Melissa Hayes receives absolutely nothing. Not a dollar, not a keepsake, not a memory." "Done. You're safe now, Eleanor." But I wasn't, because deep down I knew something was coming. What came next would test everything I had left. It started with a letter, plain envelope, no return address. Inside, a photocopy, my signature, or what looked like it. Below it, 2 others, my late husband Richard and Melissa. A loan document dated 12 years ago, $48,000. The bank's logo was real, so was the notary stamp. But I'd never signed that paper. I sat on the sofa, hands trembling. The handwriting looked perfect, but something was off, too clean. I pulled out old files Marcus had helped me compile. Inside, 3 more forms, all with my forged signature. Melissa had been stealing from me and Richard for years. It explained everything. The tension in our final years. How we suddenly had less money. How Melissa always needed emergency funds but drove a new Lexus. The quiet arguments, the cancelled vacations. I didn't cry. Instead, I opened my laptop and began digging. Over 3 days, I pieced it together. Melissa had falsified several loan documents using Richard's social security number and mine. Richard must have covered most before he died, taking the shame with him. But one account was still active, $73,000, defaulted under my name 3 months before I was dropped at Magnolia Gardens. I sat in darkness, screen glowing, hands clenched. This wasn't just betrayal, this was theft, fraud, criminal. I called Marcus. I have new information, forged documents, loans. Melissa did it. I believe you. Want to press charges? Not yet. I wanted her to feel the fear first, the silence, the not knowing. Because I wasn't hiding anymore. I was hunting. I gathered every document I could, every account, every email, every financial notice. I even contacted our old bank under a legal pretext Marcus drafted. Melissa had taken out a high-interest loan against the small catering business I'd co-founded with Richard in the 90s. She'd used that LLC to secure $40,000. She'd signed it using Richard's name 2 years after Richard had died. That was federal fraud. I saved everything to an encrypted folder, backed it up, printed copies for the box under the floorboards. Then I searched a public database. What I found made my stomach turn. Melissa Hayes, currently under federal investigation for fraudulent tax filings, embezzlement, and identity misuse. The IRS had flagged several returns filed in my name over 3 years. I'd had no idea. Had she planned this from the beginning? Was this why she was so quick to shove me into a facility and disconnect my phone? It wasn't concern. It was containment. She wanted me silent, disoriented, out of the way. My own daughter had weaponized my identity. I didn't call the police. Instead, I documented everything, printed them, filed them, labeled them. I began recording audio notes, not because I was scared of forgetting, but because I wanted my voice to be the last one heard if anything happened to me. Then I made a choice. I mailed a copy of the entire file anonymously to the Department of Justice. They'd have the evidence. If something happened to me, they'd know where to look. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling she knew. Cars parked longer near the house. Once, a man knocked claiming to do a neighborhood survey. I didn't open it, just watched from behind the curtain. I called Marcus again. We need to finalize everything, the trust, the will. I want it all protected. We set it up with layers of legal insulation. If Melissa ever tried to claim a cent, she'd be bounced out of every court in the country. But as much as I tried to shield myself, the emotional blow hit in quiet moments. I'd remember Melissa as a little girl, her laugh, her scraped knees, the way she'd fall asleep on my chest. The teenage years when things got harder, but I never gave up. How did I miss it? How long had she been slipping away while I kept holding on? Maybe that's the worst kind of betrayal, the one you watch unfold in slow motion. But now I knew. And I wasn't going to let her rewrite the end of my story. Because for the first time in my life, I held the pen. The letter came in a plain white envelope. Inside, one sentence. I know what you did, and this isn't over. I read it twice, then laughed, not from amusement, but because it was exactly the arrogance I expected. No, I miss you. No, where are you? Just a threat. By now, I'd been gone 3 weeks. Melissa had launched a full public campaign, interviews on local news, playing the heartbroken daughter searching for her confused mother. And then she made her move. A letter arrived from the county courthouse. Official. Certified. She had filed a petition to have me declared mentally incapacitated. I couldn't breathe. The document included statements from 2 people claiming I'd shown erratic behavior. A former neighbor. Her husband, Trevor. Melissa's lawyer had submitted audio clips, snippets of old voicemails I'd left when distressed, chopped and edited. They made me sound unwell. She'd even attached a letter from a psychiatrist I'd never met, claiming concern over my disappearing and paranoid behavior. They wanted to freeze my accounts, seize control of the trust, drag me back. Marcus came that night. We've got work to do, but Eleanor, stay calm. They're counting on panic. But what Melissa didn't know was that I'd been preparing for this moment. The next days moved like a storm. Marcus contacted an experienced litigator. We gathered documents, video recordings, financial logs, a daily journal proving I'd been of sound mind. We scheduled an independent psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Patricia Levine came to the house and spent 3 hours with me. She asked about my childhood, Richard, Melissa. I told her everything. When she left, she touched my hand. "You're the most lucid person I've seen this week." Still, the pressure mounted. News of the hearing leaked. Questions arose. Why hadn't I contacted anyone? Was I unstable? But I wasn't afraid anymore. I had more than proof. I had purpose. In the quiet of my home, I prepared a video statement, just in case they silenced me. I looked into the camera. My name is Eleanor Hayes. I am 64 years old. I am of sound mind, and I was betrayed by the person I trusted most. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just told the truth. And this time, I wouldn't be the one on trial. The courthouse in Charlotte hadn't changed since I'd last been there years ago. Marcus had advised me to dress simple but strong. I wore a navy blue dress with pearl buttons, Richard's old watch, and sensible heels that clicked defiantly through the halls. Melissa was already seated when I arrived. She stood as I entered, a perfect performance, a mask of concern. She even smiled. But I saw it for what it was. She was here to bury me. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes, introduced the case, in the matter of Eleanor Hayes' mental competency. Melissa's attorney went first, polished voice, too much confidence. He laid it out. Eleanor had gone missing. Eleanor was behaving erratically. Eleanor was possibly being manipulated. Eleanor was a danger to herself and her finances. He introduced the psychiatrist's letter and played those audio clips of me, edited, spliced, taken out of context. I listened to myself sound scattered, unstable. Then Melissa spoke. "Your Honor, I love my mother. This is the hardest thing I've ever done, but I believe she's being taken advantage of. She's not herself. She's lost." That's when I stood. "My turn, Your Honor." The judge nodded. I walked slowly to the stand, letting the weight of my presence settle. "My name is Eleanor Hayes. I am 64 years old. I am not mentally impaired. I am not lost. And I am not anyone's victim." I opened my folder and handed Dr. Levine's full psychiatric report to the judge, signed, dated, certified, completely sound mind, no indicators of cognitive decline, emotionally stable. Melissa's attorney's shoulders tensed, Melissa's face twitched. "I have here," I said, lifting a second folder, "a log of every phone call I made before I left, receipts for the trust transfer, medical records, and an affidavit from the attorney who helped me exit the facility stating I was lucid, logical, and in full control." I paused. "I also have something else, but I won't present it today, not unless I need to." I didn't show the file, the one with every fraudulent signature, every stolen loan. That was my ace. Instead, I turned to the judge. She put me in a facility without my consent, took my phone, took my freedom, and now she wants to take what little I have left, my voice, my independence, my dignity. I looked directly at Melissa. "Don't let her." The courtroom was silent. The judge leaned back, fingers steepled. "Mrs. Hayes, based on the overwhelming evidence, your psychiatric evaluation, and the inconsistencies in the petitioner's claims, I am dismissing this case. Your financial accounts and personal autonomy are fully restored. This court recognizes you as competent and independent." I didn't cry, but my hands trembled as I walked out. Melissa didn't say a word as I passed. Her eyes were wild, not with anger, but with fear. She knew it was over. But what she didn't know was that I'd been building something far more powerful than a defense, a legacy. And I wasn't done yet. Within hours of leaving the courthouse, Melissa doubled down. The local news ran, "Missing mother reappears in court. Daughter fears exploitation." Melissa spoke to the camera, eyes moist, voice shaking. I just want to make sure my mother is safe. She's not thinking clearly. I watched from my living room, jaw tight. That was the moment I knew the silent war wasn't enough. I called Marcus. When he arrived, I handed him the sealed envelope with every document I'd collected. Send it, I said, not to the court, to the Department of Justice, anonymously. He nodded. This will get their attention. But I wasn't done. That night, using a new alias, I made a $5 million donation to a non-profit protecting elderly individuals from financial abuse. No name attached. Within a week, they launched a campaign using my case as a symbol. People started questioning, how does a mother vanish, then reappear with money, but her daughter tries to lock her away? Comments flooded social media. Something's off with the daughter. Let her speak. I don't trust her. Melissa's carefully constructed image began to crumble. Then a journalist reached out to Marcus. She wanted my side. We met at a quiet diner. I wore sunglasses and a hat. She hit record. I told her about the facility, about Melissa taking my phone, my accounts, my dignity. I didn't mention the lottery. Not yet. The story ran 2 days later. Mother or millionaire? The silencing of Eleanor H. People online began connecting dots. Was the missing mother the anonymous donor? Was this why her daughter wanted her declared incompetent? More whispers, more doubts, because Melissa's downfall wouldn't come from an accusation. It would come from a reckoning. 2 days before court reconvened, Marcus received a call. The Department of Justice had received our file. They were opening a case. Melissa didn't know yet, but while she'd been building a castle of lies, I'd been setting fire to the foundation, and the flames were getting higher. The second hearing felt different. Melissa walked in looking less confident. Her lawyer whispered urgently. They'd seen the article, they'd seen the online shift, they were feeling the cracks. This time, we went first. Marcus opened. Your Honour, since the last hearing, we've completed an independent psychiatric evaluation, submitted detailed financial logs, and discovered through public records that Ms. Melissa Hayes is currently under federal investigation for multiple financial crimes, including identity misuse and tax fraud. He handed the judge the public case docket. Melissa's attorney stood protesting. That investigation has no bearing. The judge held up a hand. Sit down. Dr. Levine took the stand, calm, intelligent, direct. She's not only clear, she's deliberate, thoughtful. There is no medical basis for any declaration of incompetence. Melissa's hands gripped the table, knuckles white. Marcus presented a timeline showing exactly when Melissa tried to seize my accounts, and how that coincided with large withdrawals from her failing business. The judge reviewed everything in silence. Melissa stood, voice cracking. My mother is sick. She's clearly being manipulated. This isn't her. I stood then, and faced her directly. I am her, I said. Everyone went still. I am the woman who stayed up with you when you had nightmares, who worked double shifts to pay your college tuition, who cooked your favorite meals when I could barely afford groceries. My voice didn't waver. I am her, and you left me in a facility like I was nothing. I turned to the judge. And now, Your Honour, I ask you to let me prove that I am not nothing. The judge leaned forward. Mrs. Hayes, based on the overwhelming evidence, I am dismissing this case. Your financial accounts and personal autonomy are fully restored. This court recognizes you as competent and independent. I walked out with my head high. Melissa's eyes were wild with fear. But what she didn't know was that I'd been building something far more powerful than a defense. The phone call came just after midnight. Marcus's voice was steady. It happened. The DOJ opened formal proceedings. Melissa's name is on the docket. The next morning, the world caught up. Melissa Hayes, daughter in elder abuse case, under federal investigation. People remembered the missing mother, the court battle, the anonymous donor. Now their perfect daughter was unraveling. I stayed quiet for 2 days, but silence wasn't justice. I reached out to Sarah, the journalist. I'm ready to speak. This time, on camera. National news, full feature. The day of the interview, I dressed simply. Grey cardigan, pearl earrings, no makeup, just truth. Sarah leaned forward. Eleanor, the world knows the headlines, but what they don't know is the heart of it. Why now? I looked at the camera. Because it's not just about me. It's about every parent who gave everything and was thrown away. Every older adult dismissed, erased, or locked up under the excuse of love. I paused. I was almost one of them, and I won't be quiet anymore. I told my story, the nursing home, the lottery, the lies, the file I sent. I left out nothing. That night, millions watched. Messages poured in, people sharing their own stories of betrayal, abandonment, survival. I wasn't just Eleanor anymore. I was a mirror. Melissa didn't speak publicly, but sources said her life was falling apart. She'd built that life on manipulation. Now it was collapsing under its own weight. But I didn't gloat. Instead, I got to work. I launched a foundation to protect elders from legal and financial abuse. Real legal support, real funding, real advocacy. I named it the Eleanor Project. Because if they were going to use my name to strip me of dignity, I was going to use it to give dignity back. Still, the pain lingered. Not because Melissa was suffering, but because I'd once loved her with a loyalty that blinded me. But I had something better now. I had the truth. Melissa's arrest came with headlines. Melissa Hayes indicted on multiple counts of wire fraud, identity theft, and tax evasion. I read it quietly with my tea and my cat beside me. She was out on bond, her name synonymous with betrayal. Clients gone, credit frozen, friends disappeared. Even Trevor filed for divorce. She was alone. I should have felt triumphant, but all I felt was hollow. Surviving betrayal doesn't leave you whole. It leaves you wiser, sharper, stronger. But something soft dies. That blind trust, that belief that love is enough. I didn't grieve that softness. I buried it. When I walked into town after the interview aired, people recognized me. They didn't whisper. They smiled. One woman touched my arm. You gave my mom courage to leave a bad situation. A young man slipped a note in my prescription bag. My grandma says thank you. Marcus stopped by. They offered her a deal. 10 years if she pleads guilty. And she's still pretending it's a misunderstanding. I shook my head. She's been pretending her whole life. She hasn't tried to contact you. I'd received something. A letter slid under my door. Inside, a photograph from my 61st birthday. Me laughing with cake. Melissa beside me. On the back. You always believed in me. I'm sorry that wasn't enough. I sat with that photo for hours, remembering the little girl who'd asked for one more bedtime story, the teenager who'd wrecked my car and cried when I didn't yell, the woman who'd hugged me tight when her father died. I'd loved all of them. But love demands truth, and Melissa had chosen lies. That night, I burned the photo in the fireplace. Not out of hate, out of release. I didn't need a picture to remember. I needed peace. The morning I returned to Magnolia Gardens, Ruby stepped out before I could knock. Oh my God, Eleanor. We hugged like two people who'd both survived something. Inside, the place looked different, brighter, better coffee, new books. I heard what you did, Ruby said. The donations, the interviews, you changed everything. No, I just stopped letting people decide who I was. That afternoon, I gave a speech in the activities room. I'm not here because I'm rich, I began. I'm here because I was silenced, and I know how many of you still feel that way. Every pair of eyes watched me. I want to tell you something. You are not a burden, you are not forgotten, and you are not finished. Applause followed, soft, then louder. When I returned home, I finalized everything. The Eleanor Project would become national, offering legal and financial advocacy for elders in danger. Melissa took the deal. 10 years. She tried to send another letter. I returned it unopened. That chapter was closed. On the first snow of January, I wrote a letter to myself. I read it aloud by the fireplace. Dear Eleanor, you weren't crazy. You weren't too trusting. You weren't weak. You were just a woman who loved too deeply. And when they tried to write you out of your own life, you picked up the pen and wrote the ending yourself. I am so proud of you. With love, yourself. I folded it, placed it in a wooden box, and set it on the mantel. I didn't need a legacy of money or revenge or even justice. I had something greater, freedom, and for the first time in my life, I was finally, fully, completely free. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.